This is the Pixel 9 Pro. Specifically, it's actually the Pixel 9 XL. Now, this is going to be a very quick intro to this video because we really want to get on with the review. Essentially, split into 4 different sections. And the Pixel 9 is allegedly Google's greatest ever hardware and software experience. So we know what it is, but is it any good? Let's find out. So let's talk about the cameras. Get off to a meaty start, why not? So that visor which was integrated into the frame is now gone. It's all a standalone camera array. Now the array itself, you get 50 megapixel wide, 48 megapixel periscope telephoto, 48 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 42 megapixel front facing camera. Now in terms of performance, what I would say is this is running the latest and newest camera software. So we heard this was coming out, so we've delayed that so we can get the camera software update, and then we can go back and review the camera properly. Now, how does it perform? Well, video, you can get up to 8K at 30 FPS, but it does deliver huge file sizes. Otherwise, 4K 60 in various modes, so day, night, zooms, etc., all perform actually very, very well. Some of these, which we'll tag, will have video boost on them, specifically night sight. Actually, if you put video boost on, it downscales to 1080p and then it boosts the resolution. So it looks brighter in these videos than it actually is. The cameras themselves, in terms of photographs, this has become the new standard for pixels, where it's quite saturated and bright, and that flatter color profile, which was classic Pixel 3 to 5 maybe, no longer exists. So if you're used to the new version, you know exactly what to expect. If you're used to the classic old Pixel and you want to upgrade to the Pixel 9, it is more Samsung than it is classic Google. But nevertheless, produces really great quality photos. And to be fair, if you refer to DxOMark's ranking, it actually sits at number 2 out of the top, God knows, hundreds that they reviewed, behind a Huawei phone. So this is taking the crown technically amongst phones available in the Western world to be the best camera phone in terms of photo and video available right now. So one of the main experiences, the main selling points of the Pixel 9 will be the use of the large language model called Gemini. So Google Assistant still exists concurrently with Gemini. And one of the key things here is if you buy a Pixel 9 of Pro or Pro XL or 9, you will get actual access for a year to Google's Gemini AI Advanced. But that also benefits from things like Gemini Live. Now we run an actual live demo for you right now to give you an idea what that looks like. Show me the best way to navigate to Old Trafford in Manchester.
Getting to Old Trafford depends on where you're coming from.
Actually, ignore that.
Straightforward.
How about if I take a train from Cardiff to Manchester Old Trafford?
Taking the train from Cardiff to Manchester is a great way to get to Old Trafford. There are direct trains that take about 3 hours.
Essentially, what Gemini Live is, it's literally live, actual conversational style assistant. Very, very different from things like the original assistant, which meant you'd have to constantly ask it questions. I'm not going to say because it will trigger on the phone and other phones. So that I actually find it a lot more useful and using it more than I would have otherwise. Now, the only downside I would say is when that offer and that promotion expires, would you be willing to pay $18.99 or $19 a month to have that Gemini Live and Advanced large language model on your device? Is it going to be that beneficial? Comment below actually and let us know if you think you would or you wouldn't. So let's talk about what's new, and we'll start off with software because that's kind of the thing. So Magic Editor has now been changed and adapted a bit more. Essentially what we're going to do, we're going to run all the new AI things across one screen so you can see them all concurrently to see what they do. You can now actually add in different elements into a picture, and that's the new Magic Editor. You now have a screenshots app. Essentially will collate all your screenshots into one area, and that will allow you then to access the data and the information, as well as act as a pass-through to the website to buy or look at whatever you were before. So things like we're looking at holidays in Norway or trainers or a Tesla Model 3 Performance, all those things, that data lives within the app. Pixel Studio, however, is essentially an AI generated way of, I guess it's text to image generation, well, literally is text to image generation, I should say. And you can pretty much create whatever you want and go as wacky as you want. Some of the examples are a bit sus, let's just put it that way, but you can then change these with like a cinematic style and different styles, which mean then you can add your own little touch to things to how you want, like animated or cartoon. And then the last one is the much leaked Pixel Weather app, which actually is pretty great, to be honest. Now, there's a lot of talk about whether the summary that lives at the top of the page, which is AI generated, is it actually any good? I think personally, in the days that we've been using the phone with our weather app, that data actually is pretty much bang on. And it does mean you no longer have to keep going into the app to sort of see any weather updates. However, if you did go back in, you can customize this whichever way you want, and it looks really, really good. So those are the sort of the main highlight new things in terms of software. In terms of hardware though, obviously the Pixel design itself is completely new. You get flatter, glossy rails, not a fan of the glossy rails, on the sides. Back is frosted, and then you get a large camera visor, which houses that camera array. Everything else is as you would expect. So the design and what's new essentially, software-wise within the Pixel 9 Pro XL and Pixel 9 Pro, is actually a pretty good upgrade compared to last year. So we focused on the 4 sections this review is going to be split into, and actually we have 4 things that we would say are not great about the Pixel 9 series. First of all, release dates. They staggered them for some reason, so you can get a Pixel 9 and XL here in the UK, but the Pro and the Fold, you have to wait, give or take, mid to late September. Why they've done that, I have absolutely no idea, and in fact, there's nowhere to suggest why they've done it. Like Google themselves haven't said why. And the same thing happens to be the case for the Buds as well. We obviously are audio reviewers as well. They're again further down the line, which is really, really odd. The other thing I would say is charging speeds. Supports 45 watts, but will only output at 37 watts, which again is really weird. I guess there's not really an explanation. Is that to protect the battery? Don't know. Again, not given any indication by Google as to why that is the case, which is pretty weird. And then Tensor G3 is only a very, very mild upgrade over the G3. In fact, if you look at benchmarks for G4, it's nowhere near a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is essentially 2 months away from being out of date, or Apple's latest silicon chip that runs in the 15 Pro and Pro Max. So again, really, really odd decisions. But I think the most odd decision of them all has to be that Google, which owns Android, champions Android, is responsible for Android, is shipping their newest flagship device for 2024 with Android 14, not 15. Make sense of that what you will, because we can't. So what is our conclusion on the Pixel 9 Pro? Essentially, there's a lot here to really, really love, especially design, fit, feel, finish. This is that premium Google flagship experience that we've been craving for, that we thought we'd probably get in the 7, didn't happen in the 8, but I definitely think that when you get this in your hand, this feels very, very premium. It's almost a Pixel iPhone, may I say a little bit, but it will ignore that comment because that's probably not the case. People are gonna get triggered by that, hopefully not the case. But what I would say is the design, fit, feel, finish is brilliant. Some of the other things that have been added onto here that we haven't mentioned are the 3000 nits of brightness from the OLED display, 16 gig of RAM as standard. All those make a huge, huge difference. And yes, G4 is a mild upgrade over G3 in terms of its processor, but in all honesty, it still runs really, really well. It's never gonna be, and it never was designed to be, sort of that powerhouse like a Gen 3 from Snapdragon or Apple's latest silicon. It's not gonna be at that level. But what it does do is make the Pixel phone super, super smart. And in fact, I would say all the downsides that we've mentioned, that we've just covered over recently, they're more annoyances than they are things that would stop you from buying a Pixel Pro. But for us, we would definitely get a Pixel 9 Pro. In fact, we're gonna get a Pixel 9 Pro, not this one though, because we wanna actually go for the smaller version, which we've been craving Samsung to do in their Ultra series, do a smaller, Ultra phone, which they haven't, but Google has, which is great news. And that's our review for the Pixel 9 Pro. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, as always, we out.